Most of you by now know that I work at VIP Mortgage. A lot of you may not know why or how I got there. For us as LOs, we have a lot of options. And for me, VIP Mortgage was the perfect fit and the best place, in my opinion, to work. So if you have any questions about VIP Mortgage as an LO, or if you are a consumer and you're looking for a mortgage, you can reach out to me on social media, or you can reach out to anybody else that you may know at VIP Mortgage. And our website is vipmtginc.com. Welcome, everybody, to Real Talk with Ryan Madrid. I didn't do this last time, so I got Trisha, my sister, over here helping us out, and my nephew Trey with the production work. Yeah. So we're keeping it a family affair. And I have a really longtime good friend here, Troy Conrad, and Troy is our first pseudo-famous pseudo-famous
emphasis
guest.
On pseudo.
But Troy does some amazing things, and what I love about it is that when we decided to do this podcast, it was really about bringing in cool people doing really cool stuff. And Troy is one of those guys that I think for our entire lives has always been doing the coolest stuff. I was gonna say shit, but and he's kind of always lived by that. And you were kind of like your own dude. Your own guy, just doing your own thing, and nobody's going to get in your way. So I have a quote that he had said on Joey Diaz's podcast. He said, "What's important to me is doing stuff that matters instead of making a living doing something that I hate." He's an actor, he's a comedian, he's a writer, he's a producer, director, and probably many more things that we don't know about. But Troy's been doing really, really cool stuff for a long time, and we're going to get into that today. So anyways, dude, thanks for being here.
I'm so glad to be here. This is amazing.
And yeah, dude, we're super excited. Troy and I, this is Troy's probably our fourth guest that we grew up with. And one of the things that we talked about before too, Trisha and I were like, well, we need to have other people on that aren't just your friends. And I just got to the point where I was like, dude, I have too many cool friends. I have so many good friends that do cool stuff.
Yeah.
That really, sometimes we'll sprinkle in some other people, but for now, we're going to bring in the people that we really, really know and we can have great conversations with, because people are going to want to hear some of the coolest stuff that you've done. So let's get right into it. I remember Trisha talking about how, well, after high school, you were at ASU and you were going around giving massages. That was another thing. He was a masseuse at one point too.
Well, I worked in physical therapy, and then I ended up, because of that, I got certified to do massages. I worked with companies. And what I used that for is to teach. I ended up teaching stress management workshops at companies all over the place. Paychex was a payroll company.
Yep.
And then they had me go to all their corporate offices around basically the Western U.S. And that was crazy. That was like something that got me through college.
Yeah.
Is teaching these workshops, and that led me to teach. I was teaching at Phoenix College before I should have been able to. No one should have given me a certification to teach college. Yeah. I got a 2.23 at Arizona State.
Okay. Marriage and family living.
Marriage and family studies was my major. I'm not qualified to teach, but I made it work.
You did.
I made it work, and I taught because of that work experience and the degree. And all the physical therapy experience, because I basically worked at so many different PT clinics, I was able to get to teach. Like I couldn't even pass my own class, but I could teach it.
Right.
And it worked out great actually. Like it was a popular class, but man, I love doing stuff like that where you dive into something that you're scared of, because that's what it's about, right? Yeah. I love that you're doing this podcast. This is more important than you know. And in 10 years, you'll look back and go, oh my God, I'm so glad I started that, like when I did,
You know, it's cool that you say that, because you had said something like that even to Joey Diaz when, I don't know, if you don't know who that is, he's a huge stand-up comic and actor and everything, and he has a podcast as well, and Troy was on there. But you had said that to him too. And it was like a super sincere comment to him. And I just like let him going. And in my mind, I was wondering, like, what are they talking about?
Joey's a sincere person.
He seems like he's like
the most.
Really?
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah.
So Joey Diaz, obviously. So Troy, another thing, I don't know if I said this, but photographer. So if you haven't gone to, or you should go to Troy's Instagram page and see some of the pictures he's taken at the Comedy Store. Man, they're crazy. And I mean, those people have got to be so thankful to you for some of those pictures.
Oh, that's nice you say that. That's one of the things I'm so happy that I'm doing. It's my passion. Before this pandemic hit, I was working 100 hours a week, and I loved it. And people go, "Oh, doesn't that suck?" Like, no, I can't wait to get back to the 100, maybe 80.
Yeah,
but,
right.
But I can't wait to get back that 80, 100-hour work week because everything I did, I was passionate about. Even when it's like, oh my God, I got to stay up till 3 a.m. editing this show because they got to have this. Mm-hmm. I still loved it, you know? Mm-hmm.
So you were editing photographically or you were
photos?
Okay.
Yeah. You get home, you load it in. Sometimes you got to load it overnight if it's a big shoot, and then get up early and, and start the harvest.
Yeah, right. So before we get far into that, let's talk about kind of like college or after college and kind of where you like sent you this trajectory, because we kind of knew that you were going to start, you started doing stand-up.
What about high school? I mean, I think.
Well, hold on. Okay.
We'll go back to high
I think
school.
we should go back to high school.
Okay, so I mean, like, this is going to be a 4-hour podcast, but I got time, I guess. But
can I say, you just before we started, you reminded me, or Vicky was here, Vicky Guida reminded me that I used to go to parties in high school I'd take an Everclear bottle and dump out the Everclear, fill it with water, and walk around drinking it at parties like it was nothing.
Yeah.
I had no recollection of that. I mean, even when she said it, I'm like, oh, I don't remember that. But I go, that was something I could see me doing, because that's the stupid stuff I would do.
Well, you were kind of a straight edge.
I guess I don't fully know.
For sure. Yeah, you'd pick me up for parties, and you always had a 6-pack on your floorboard of like near beer, St. Pauli's, or all of the non-alcoholic beer.
Oh, I was a
non-alcoholic.
To have
something in your hand.
Yeah.
But,
that was
no alcohol.
That's right. That was the whole point. It's like, if you're driving and you want to be responsible, cool. But also, don't be a drip. Like, you still got to walk around with something that looks like a beer at a party, just so you can be social.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like drinking a soda water with a glass that looks like it's vodka soda, but it's really just soda water. You're just gonna hang out at a party, and everybody doesn't think that you're not drinking.
There was just something fun about it, So it's just so stupid, but it was a blast.
So another thing you probably don't remember is, I was telling her yesterday, Steve and I came over before our senior year, and we were both, we were all student council nerds, and you wrote my speech. See,
I have no recollection of this, and I love hearing stuff that I don't know about.
Yeah, you wrote both of our speeches for our senior year going into student council. That was I figured
that's amazing,
and it was super funny, and that's it was much funnier when you said it and wrote it than when I actually did it and said it.
That's
when
amazing.
I was presenting it, because people were like, that's funny, I guess.
Again, something I would do, and I don't remember doing it, but that's amazing. I certainly loved writing stuff like that. So
yeah,
that's
but
awesome.
you were always, you were, again, so it's just like going back that far, I guess, but we can, but you were always funny. That was like your thing. You were a funny guy. You thought differently. Like you said, you thought it was funny to bring, an Everclear bottle full of water, and you just thought you were going to be a little off center, I guess we could say.
Right. Life's short.
Yeah, there you go. So let's start though. Like, when did you go and do like your first stand up? You're like, dude, I'm gonna try this.
I was in Mesa. I barely remember it. I just remember, it was a bar in Mesa, and it was my first time doing stand up. And I just remember bombing, and then I had a joke. And again, I was probably, I don't know, what was I, like 22 or I don't even know.
You were younger, I think.
Maybe younger.
Yeah.
And I remember saying something. I had some joke about country music, maybe. It was either, but I just remember that there were these like construction guys playing pool right in front. Like that was the audience.
Right.
Is guys playing pool, paying no attention.
Yeah.
And it's not the best introduction to performance.
Right.
Because you're wanting that like feedback. And they weren't listening the entire time. But then when I made a joke that they cared about, like whether it's country music or something, then they stopped and they looked over and I was like, oh, I didn't know you guys were listening. And then they laughed at that. And I went, oh, okay. So, and that, what that taught me is the importance of being real and in the moment. Like I learned so much from just that tiny little micro moment, because the fact that I stepped out of what was in my head and addressed the situation of these guys just stopped to look at me because now I had their attention. Now I don't think they liked it.
Right.
But the fact that I addressed that was real and that was fun to them. So that taught me the lesson of you're better off being real, you know? And that's why like and I don't do stand up anymore. I still have a toe in that world because it's in my blood, but I'm more of a connoisseur of it. And I like to listen to great people. So I'm obsessed with the most real comic I think that's ever lived is Patrice O'Neal. And
well, a lot of people say
to
that
him,
though, right?
Now people are, yeah.
Okay.
Because there's a documentary that came out. Bill Burr produced it.
Yo.
But he has always been that guy. And the great thing about him, and that's why I say it's great to have a podcast, the great thing about Patrice is, I can't remember how many years, I want to say it was 6 or 7 years ago that he passed away. And he has so much content out there. If you go to YouTube, you could go your whole lifetime and not hear everything, because he has all these Opie Anthony episodes and everything else. There's hundreds, maybe thousands of hours of Patrice, and it's all gold.
Yeah. And maybe it's because there is that documentary out there, but I've seen a lot of interviews of people talking about him lately, like even like down like
That's
Kevin
good to hear.
Hart, Dave Chappelle. Everybody's got a story about how he was like unfiltered.
He
Like,
was very unfiltered.
Yeah.
He wasn't a really super nice guy
Yeah.
to everybody. He was really, I met him one time, and he was super nice.
Yeah.
But he's so real that it's hard to, you know, he's not known as like this.
Yeah,
He wasn't a
sweetheart.
friendly, sweetheart
Right.
guy. He's like, but he'll tell you what's up for real.
Right. So you were kind of, I mean, because you're what, 49, 48?
I'm 51.
No, you're
years
not.
old. 51 years
Are
old.
you really?
Yeah.
So you work that same generation with a lot of the huge guys now, like the Bobby Lees and the Bill Burr, and I mean, you know, we're all kind of close to the same age, you know. So you were, you know, we're fast forwarding a little bit, but I mean, you kind of were doing the same stuff for a long time with those guys, so you've seen years of those people.
So much stand up. Yeah, I've become like a snob. So there's some stuff that I just go, I don't want to hear this, you know. 'Cause
Yeah.
I've heard so much, like, and so you know, but funny is funny. So I like all kinds of comedy from all types, from all angles. But when it's hacky, you know, I get that real impatient feeling of like, I just got to get out of here or whatever. You know?
Well, there's definitely a style, right? You got some people have certain styles you like, and some people that are super famous that aren't, you know, maybe not funny to me, but they're in movies and they're rich and people seem to find them funny.
Right.
Like a Bill Burr type of guy to me is super funny. Like I love that.
I mean, yeah, he's maybe the best living comic. I mean, he's unbelievable.
Right, yeah. And we go back into Trey and I talk about the podcast and stuff, and you know, just like Tiger Belly to me is so funny because I love Bobby Lee and his wife are just so funny.
Yeah,
dude, he's hilarious, and you know, shout out to his parents who live in Phoenix.
Oh yeah.
But you know, there's just so many good ones, and Tom Segura. I discovered him on a snowboarding trip with a bunch of buddies. And like 5 years ago, maybe one of his first things, and dude, I've been a huge fan of him for a long time. Oh yeah, too,
Tom's great.
So let's go back to Comedy Jesus.
Oh yeah.
Can we talk about that?
Oh my gosh.
Man. So tell us how that all came about and when that was and how far into like your like stand-up
Okay,
career.
I'll give a background since
Yeah.
people probably don't know about this because it's almost non-existent now.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say I don't know what year. I'm gonna say 2007 or 8. I don't even know anymore. I was in Los Angeles, maybe 2006. Again, I don't remember dates, but
I have your VHS
oh my
tape
god,
that you gave me.
oh my god,
And Trey was probably 5-ish, 6 maybe.
oh my gosh.
So it was like early 2000s.
Yeah, had to be.
2004.
That sounds about right. Yeah,
because
I
it
was
circulated around Verada.
I was
shared it
new.
with everybody.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, I was new in LA, and what I basically it started from this, and this is a show just for the background that I started doing at this open mic, and then it became a thing, and I started doing it in theaters, renting theaters in LA, and then I started touring with it and doing international festivals, and everywhere I did it, I was getting that green light. Like, oh, people like this, people connect with this. And for me, it was very real. And it was very, at that time, I'm not a real big, I don't know. At that time, it was a very like anti-religion Jesus coming back to say, hey guys, what the hell happened?
Right.
What'd you do?
Yeah.
And to announce that everyone on Earth was on a game show. Earth was itself a contestant on a game show called Last Planet Standing.
Right.
And you're competing against other planets and see if you can get through the obstacles. I said, we gave every planet 3 things that they should not have used, which was nuclear weapons, religion, and Celine Dion. And that was the gag. Every planet got those. You touch them, you're dead.
Right.
Like it's that kind of thing. So that was that was part of it. And it was Jesus giving a PowerPoint on the Mount. But that was for me fun and real. And I got distribution, and it ended up all over the place and in Walmarts, which was funny because it had this like anti-Walmart rant at the end, but they didn't watch it. They just saw like people liked it,
Yeah.
so they bought it. So it was in the stores.
Wow.
And it was telling the employees to unionize, which is hilarious. So anyway, that was the Comedy Jesus show, and I had a blast. I mean, I took it to Dublin and Montreal, all kinds of places, and had so much fun with it.
So I was watching the trailer of it last night, and so it's crowd participation. Is that how it works?
Yeah,
And, okay.
I had everyone write down questions in the audience, and then put them in a bucket, and then I'd walk on stage, and I'd pull them out of that bucket and just answer them. And again, that's about being real, and like I wanted to have that opportunity for failure, and that's an important thing. I know there's people listening who are in the business world and mortgage world and loan world. Look, it's still the same principle. You have to give yourself opportunities for failure. I feel like everything I've done is based on failure, and I'm a failure addict, and that's why maybe that's why I'm happy because I got used to that, and I'm okay with that. Like, give me more failures. Like, I want that because that means I'm taking risks and chances and whatever. Now, obviously, if you're giving loans, you want to be a little risk averse. So don't go nuts on that. Start handing them out like it's 99.
No, but you do. I mean, is everybody's definition of failures? I think is maybe different, but I mean, your success and then your success that ends. Or maybe with one project, and then you start another one, and it ends, and Yeah,
I have a short attention span, and so I do go from one thing to the next, and there was a point where that bothered me, and for me now it doesn't bother me because I am trusting that there's something there. I'm like, I listen to the wind of my soul.
What's funny is like, we kind of all look at like Troy was the one that kind of made it out. And like did like the cool stuff that we all wish we did, and then your perspective is like, did I fail on
Failure?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we're all like, well, what? We're like, this dude's famous. He's taking pictures of everybody at the Comedy Store, and but you're traveling the world doing that, and then set list. You created a you created a show on your own, basically, right? And well, I'm sure with other people, and so
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to jump that quickly into set list.
I think right now is an appropriate time to talk about.
So
set
this
list.
is another successful thing that you created with uber famous people, and it's fun to watch because you see like the nervousness and stuff of all these huge comedians, like knowing that they're talking about failure. I mean, there were some good ones. What's that guy's name? Is it Jonah?
Jonah Ray?
Yeah, I think that's who it was. But there's a clip of him, like he gets done and he's just like, dude, I need to go again. Can I go again?
Yeah, that's
that
common.
Sucked. Like he's just like, dude, I need to go again.
Yeah.
So let's talk about set list and how that was created and like what was the whole premise behind it.
Okay, so the Comedy Jesus show, I did those pieces of paper, and I loved the improv and the opportunity for failure.
Yeah.
And that's what all my stand-up was. So I thought, what if I could bring this to other comics and have them experience that same, like, because I think it's not just me that likes this. I bet they would like it, but you have to have that structure in place. So set list is comics come on stage. They have no idea what their set list is because I write it. And it's on a projector screen, one topic at a time, when they turn around. So they literally have zero idea of what anything is going to be. And I'm trying to throw them.
Yeah.
So I write weird things. And
give us an example.
okay, so Jonah Ray, I remember we gave him a topic, Caucasianally. Just a made-up word, Caucasianally. And he turns around and sees it on the screen and says, does anyone ever go to Cracker Barrel from time to time? And it's like, that's a good example of the show.
Yeah.
Sometimes they turn around, they say something, it doesn't work, so they have to keep digging until they find that gold. But that's an example of the show.
Yeah.
And so, I've written, I don't even know how to count, but probably, I don't know, between 10,000 and 30,000 topics. I don't even know what the number is. It could be much higher than that. And we've done the show in, I think, 10 countries. It's coming up. We're doing it in Egypt soon. We're doing all kinds of fun things still, but, not in the U.S. right now.
So the production and getting that thing rolling, like how difficult is it to get like something like that rolling and on a
really
TV?
hard. So
Okay.
when I started that show, look, it would have never gone anywhere if I hadn't partnered up with my buddy Paul Provenza, and we did this show. Paul took it to the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh, and from there, it got this production company saw it, said we want to bring this to TV. So we got a 12-episode series on Sky, which is like their HBO there. Mm-hmm. And we were on after Boardwalk Empire.
Wow.
Like, it was like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. It was Robin Williams, Gilbert Godfried, all these, Maria Bamford, TJ Miller, Drew Carey, all kinds of great, and it was like half Americans, half UK comics for the most part, a couple Australian comics. And man, it was a blast. And it, again, gave everybody the opportunity for failure. And you have to find a way in your life to do that, whether it's through a structure or something else, so that you're always learning, growing. And, one of my favorite books, I still read it, and it's by the chess grandmaster, Garry Kasparov. He wrote a book called How Life Imitates Chess, and he says, lose as much as your ego can take it.
Wow. Well, geez. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Robin Williams.
The best.
What was it like to meet and interact and get to know arguably the iconic comedian in our lifetime? I loved his, the prompt was like, candy store gun control or something like that.
It was candy/gun store.
Yeah, gosh, that was.
Candy store is a strip club.
Yeah, it was just so random. And then he did. I mean, he is so. So he got into the show through my friend Rick Overton, who kind of dared him to do it. He came out to like watch it and to kind of like see what it was like.
Yeah,
Rick and him are best friends. And Rick's one of my best friends ever. And, Rick started kind of like, come on, you wimp, you're not going to. He was calling him names. He was, but he was like, come on, you wimp, you should get up there and do it. What, are you afraid? And he was like egging him on. So then in San Francisco, he went up and did it for the first time, and he came off, and he was like, I feel like I'm going to poop my pants. That was the scariest thing ever. Oh my God. And he's so personable. The thing that threw me off with Robin Williams is he just was a dude who he didn't want to be the famous Robin Williams. He just wanted to be the comic that is just fun, life of the party guy. But he's very introverted. So, he just will, if there's comics talking, he just kind of walks in and he's in that circle and he just chills. He's real mellow. And he's so, he was such a sweet person. And, I'm still heartbroken every time I think about it. But man, he loved the show. And he ended up doing, like that night you saw, because on YouTube, that's still like a big, highly watched video.
Yeah.
And he walked in that night. We weren't ready. We had no idea he was going to come up, but we had a comic named Reggie Watts who was supposed to be on that show who no-showed. And then Robin just walks in. He's like, hey, Troy, do you have a list for me? And hey, you think you can get me on? And I go,
you sound just like him, by the way. That's
I think we can make it work. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
And he laughed and he went up and just crushed it. So, it was a favorite thing for him to do. And then I love that he did the TV show and just knocked it out of the park. I mean, he was. There's no one he's like Joey Diaz. Like that's a one-off that no one can ever be like that again. Like they're like mutants that are just adored, Yeah,
it's weird how everybody loves him, but even like when you guys were talking in that interview, like he was talking about how he's just like, everybody comes to you asking me for stuff, and in my mind, I'm thinking about like my money and my wife, my kid, and I feel like everybody wants to ask me to do something, and and I feel like I come across as a kind of a dick, and he's like, but like I've got like my own life going on, and I've got a lot of things in my mind, and like so it was almost like he was apologizing to you for like being weird to you the first time you were going to ask him to go do something, because you guys were like, because he was like, he was talking about how he always sees you around and you're always so nice, and you guys, he's just going to this whole thing. But like deep down, he was just like, I don't want to be like, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm a real person that has like a lot going on.
Oh but that's how Joey is. Joey he's the most, he's a very easily approachable and sweet person, on every level. But he also has a lot going on. A lot of people always want to, Joey, hey, what's up? He gets a lot of that. Yeah. Like people are a little drunk and like, hey. Yeah. But he's a guy who's always inspired me. And I think, look, if somebody is this is in the comedy world anyway. I don't know how it is with like movie celebrity people, but with comics, everyone started out School of Hard Knocks. Yeah. So I feel like it's my duty to, like, when someone has a great bit, I always say, dude, that was freaking killer. Like, that was a great bit. I never stop myself because, that person's famous and he hears that all the time, or she must get that every day. No, I don't care. I block that part out. You have to acknowledge people instead of censoring yourself. Yeah.
And you've been around that for a long time too, so if those people know you a little bit more than if I went and did that as well, right? I mean, you're there a lot taking pictures. Yeah,
that is true.
Who the hell you are?
That's true. Like, it does mean more, I guess. Yeah. Coming from someone who who
you like grinded,
known them a little longer time, but still. Yeah. Still, I think it's so much better than "good job, dude."
Because it means a lot to them, right? Because it's freaking hard, and they have to go there every day trying to work on their craft, so to speak. And,
yes.
All that sort of
100%.
stuff. So let's go back to Settlers for a second here, because I'm curious about, like, how does it work when they go, okay, we're not gonna do this again next year? Like, I mean, they just canceled the show, or like, what happened?
We just did once. I did. Yes. It was just. Look, I was amazed that it got so quickly from this little open mic with 3 people to a TV show. Right. So Yeah, so they just said, "Oh, we're not renewing it for the next season." But like to me, I was like, I'm still riding the high of
right.
It became a TV show.
Right.
That was just a bit I like to do at the clubs. Is I would just have people yell out weird things, and I have them write band names on made up band names, and then if you get people to write made up band names, it turns out that's enough gibberish to make something creative from.
Right.
It's just like throwing lumps of clay at an artist, and then you get to see what they make. Every comic makes something different.
Right.
Sorry, I'm gonna interrupt
Go
again.
ahead. Go for it.
One of the things I loved in your early days, remember you'd call and like, I need to bring at least 10 people in order for me to get stage time, right? So I went to a lot.
Bring your shows? Yes, you did.
I went to a lot of your stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, as you progressed, obviously, we had more of us, right, from high school to college. You had like your own little fan club. But the best part for myself, and Michelle and I used to talk about this all the time, was the fan interaction. And I was always like, he's brave. And I think that was what set you apart from at least the local guys, right? You weren't just up there with your scripted show. You were opening yourself up to embarrassment or
right,
you know?
Failure. Yeah.
And I remember when you did, this was a bigger show, but when you were touring with the George Bush show,
my gosh, yes.
like that one, because it was political, right?
Oh, shit, I forgot about that.
That one was, I remember getting a little tense a couple times, like going, oh my gosh, how can he possibly, because you got some like funky questions. With the bacon and all that stuff.
Yes.
But that's, I think, what I always admired the most. Like, you're funny, but there's, I know some funny people, but you are, well, you've already said you're real. Right, you're willing to take risks, and I think that's what's so endearing about you.
Oh, that's,
I mean, I love you
nice.
because you're my friend, but I think a lot of people, like in the audience, would be like, "Wow, that's so cool. We've never seen anybody." I mean, the fact that you can take something and like spit it out in like 4 seconds and have it be funny.
That's
is
nice.
Amazing.
That's nice. The best compliment I ever got was someone who was like, "That I know that what you just did wasn't real. Like that was pre-planned." And like I was like, "Oh my God, thank you. That is such a nice thing to say," because it seemed to them like it was all planned. Happens with set list a lot too. They go, "Oh, well, this one guy, all night." He goes, "I know." He was Australian. He goes, "I just saw." He goes, "What I just saw was all pre-planned." He goes, "There's no way the comics could have done that." And I go, "Why do you think that?" He goes, "And don't try and talk me out of it either." He goes, "Because you're full of it." And I go, "No, I want to know why you think that." Like that, everyone, like, because it was like one of those shows where everyone nailed every topic.
Right.
And it was just like this, like.
Too good.
Like, it's like when I'm not a jazz fan, but when you see, I'm sure people who like jazz, if you see like jazz that's perfect and it's just connects. It was like that.
Yeah.
So it's a cool thing to see.
It was an anomaly night. Like everything went perfect.
Well, we had a lot of those, but yeah, I would say it wasn't, it's designed for failure. So to have everything kind of work, or like whatever, 90% of it work, it was like, wow, that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a cool thing. Thank you for that. But like it's it's cool to see people going, what? That's not real, whatever. But you don't see the failure and the shows where people did where they were just like, oh, the times where I just went home and went, I shouldn't do this anymore. And that's when you know you're onto something.
Yeah. Right.
Like, unless you really shouldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some things where you go, no, this is like not me at all. And it goes against, if it's something that goes against your values, then 100% shouldn't be doing it. But if it's something that you go, oh, I'm just failing at it, that's not a great reason to quit. A good book to read is called The Dip by Seth Godin. And that dude was one of my mentors. And the book is about...
Seth Godin was one of your mentors?
Seth Godin.
He's like, I'm like a...
You like Seth Godin?
Oh my God. I am like a super nerd.
He's the greatest.
Yeah, I read his blog every day.
So the Dip, The Dip is one of my favorite books of his. And if you want to give a great synopsis of that book, go Google the video. It's everywhere. Called Quieting the Lizard Brain, which is kind of like a
Did I talk about the lizard
summary.
brain all
you do?
the
I've
time,
seen
dude?
that.
Yeah. I mean,
linchpin.
Linchpin is great.
Yeah. So
All
that's
this.
so quieting lizard brain is a huge deal for me.
Yeah, it's a fantastic, like, to be aware of that.
So people that don't know what that is, why don't you explain what that is?
The lizard brain, it's based on your amygdala, and your fight or flight. So it's kind of the thing that makes you can end up overthinking and giving up on something. Since it's fight or flight, you get to a point in a project where you go, oh my God, this is not fun anymore. And so your brain is like, you make this choice, either trudge on or you just quit. Right when you, like, for instance, shooting a movie. I know this from experience. Shooting a movie is really super fun. So you're riding this roller coaster high, like, oh, this is great. You finish shooting the movie, now you got to edit it. Not fun. So that's the dip. And if you quit then, look at what you wasted. You just wasted. Now you got just stuff sitting there that goes nowhere. You did all that work, and what a waste of your time, money, energy. So when you quit in the dip, it's not great. The best time, if you're going to quit, is right before, like, day one, you start shooting. You go, quit then. While you're having fun. If you think it's not going to be a good thing, okay, get out. But don't quit after all that time and energy. Follow it the road.
Yeah.
Once you get through the dip, then it's fun. Now you have distribution. Now it's out there. And now people are, like, connecting with something. Great. You made something. So it's all about, he calls it shipping.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about shipping
Ship it.
your art, whatever you do.
So I had my personality, done, and you have like the DISC
indicator.
assessment, and you have there's all these different versions of it, but my last assessment was really like you're a great idea guy. Your implementation of things isn't great, right? So there's a lot of things that I start and then they kind of go away. This was one of them.
Say podcast.
This was one of them. So I started it like almost
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. Maybe did like 5 episodes.
There were 2 that actually dropped. Yeah.
Well, we did more than that.
Right.
But,
That's the dip.
But it came to like, okay, well, the cost is this, and it's just like, what is the real direction? And okay, well, maybe we'll do it next week. And
right.
And at this time, I had a coach. I still have that same coach, by the way, and he was the one who gave me the linchpin the very first time, and it was always the lizard brain thing in my head because he was kind of like, dude, like you're able to be successful in your life, luckily, but you do need to find something. He's like, you need to figure out. So when Trisha came on,
now you have a producer, thank God,
now,
and then you got Trey here. You got accountability.
So and I have like, what I've learned is that I'm better at bringing people into my life and hiring people to do
that's
the
exactly
work
what I was going
that
to say.
I need to get done because that's not my skill set. My greatest and best use is doing, like, having these ideas and wanting things and to get people to help me do them. Yeah. And that's kind of, so I'm a huge believer in that whole thing. And I know a lot. I mean, that's a huge problem with a lot of people. I bring up the lizard brain all the time, and they're asking me what it is, and they're like, oh yeah, I have that.
Yeah. Well, we all have that because we all have an amygdala, and that's what that was our when we were Neanderthals. That was our survival because of that. Yeah. Fight or flight, run or kill, whatever. And that's still in our brain. And now we're just recently civilized in the last 5 minutes. And we still have this part of the brain that's there. And we have to deal with it. Yeah. It's a weird thing. Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking a little bit about so many of the guys that are famous and going into the whole stand-up world again. It's like, and you've been in that world for so long, even though you're not a stand-up comedian anymore, all deal with like behavioral health issues. I mean, not all, but a lot. Mental health, substance abuse. So like, you're in this world for all that time and you're dealing with all these people, and that's not really who you are and never have been. Right. And so, being around all that stuff, like, how does that like affect your day to day, or how did it affect your like day to day like life and thought processes? And I mean, did it have any effect on you at all?
So being in Los Angeles, being in a sea of a kind of almost unique type of mental illness that comes along with the show business, and it's an attention-seeking type of thing, right? That's who is driven to that, like a bug light.
Yep.
It used to be fine, like it was no big deal. You just, whatever. I'm here to do my work, let people do creativity. It's a double-edged sword. Creativity also goes along with that.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of like these pluses and minuses, and there's a lot of half adults in this industry, right? In the showbiz industry. But it only has driven me nuts in the last couple of years because people have now imposed things on other people, and now it's like out of control.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how much it is. I mean, it's, you know what? It's everywhere. It doesn't matter where you go because it's social media based. So everyone's becoming the same.
Yeah.
And so so it affects me in terms of I don't enjoy hanging out sometimes with like these with people who are constantly judgmental and trying to shape how everyone else thinks and impose what they think is the truth. And I used to be one of those people, so I'm very familiar with how it goes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird even like listening to, and I don't even mean like the substance abuse, like, but like specifically like somebody like, is that me?
I believe so.
If it is, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's not me.
It's Jay Barber.
Oh.
Hey, thanks, Jay, for letting us do this in your office there. So getting back to like, it's like a Whitney Cummings or something. She's like genius,
I love
right?
her.
She's genius.
She's
amazing.
Like, where did she go to, like Princeton or Yale or something? She's
I forget, but she's
she
amazing.
did like,
she's
and I
unbelievable.
like she's like an incredibly smart person. But if you listen to her podcast too, she's constantly talking about just how messed up her brain is, right?
She's very open about it,
Yeah.
and she is a source of healing for a lot of people because she's very upfront about what she's going through.
Yeah.
And she's such a sweet person, though. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like you said, I think that
So
Hollywood
funny.
world, the music world. I just got done with the Flea book. Man, I'm just like
Oh,
listening
really?
to him like him and Anthony Kiedis, and they're all it's like when you're that gifted in something,
Right.
your mind works differently.
It's a different brain.
Yeah, and it's like there's like struggles in that world. So
Sorry, I'm interrupting you
for it.
again. I apologize.
That's right.
One of the things I had written down that I wanted to bring up, I always thought you had more serotonin than the average person.
That's
because
interesting you say
always
that.
happy. But looking at your parents, I mean, joy is
My parents have more than I have now, I think.
I mean,
Right.
they're incredibly positive, happy, nurturing people. Way more than any of the rest of our parents. And, the whole your dad renting the horse and the knight costume and, Joy basically saying, I will not accept anything but a knight in shining armor. So your dad actually went and did it.
My dad
and they were
proposed to
dating.
my mom as a knight in shining armor.
Right.
On a horse.
Like, and it's so sweet.
Yeah.
So I wonder, I mean, Steve's wonderful too. So do you think because you grew up in such a like warm, fuzzy environment?
Yeah.
You think that's what it is?
I think it's both. It's nature and nurture both. It really is. And I just seeing it play out. I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah. Just walking into your house made me feel good.
Joy was something different.
Me too.
Though.
Right now,
I mean,
even.
man, it was like not real. It was like out of a TV show.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she just was like, couldn't have been. I don't think I ever saw her in a bad mood.
No, she's always very up.
I saw Chuck in a bad mood a couple times.
Yeah, but I mean, my parents are unbelievable. My mom is, she's always pretty happy. And they are miserable together, like a sitcom. They can't stand each other, and that's all they talk about. Like it's literally like a sitcom.
So true.
They are just. My mom is like, man, if I could just win the lottery, it'd be tire tracks in the driveway as soon as I got the call. She's like, I wouldn't even wait for the money to hit the account. I would just drive until, So that's
funny.
But that's so funny. Like somehow they made hating each other at work. Maybe that's how it works. I don't know. But it's hilarious to see. And my dad is 77 and he's riding. We're going riding this weekend. He's riding ATVs and he does all these big trips to Yuma. And I mean, he leads the pack and he's a beast.
He's been doing that stuff, I mean,
since we were little.
Years.
Since
man.
I was a child.
Gosh, man, he took us down there and he spent like half the time fixing everybody's quads. And at that time it was ATCs, but 3-wheelers.
Right, it was 3-wheelers.
Yeah, but I know I just saw something recently that he was just there with like maybe Steve's son.
Yeah,
or something
Steve's kid,
on the
Steve and his
dunes.
kids. Yeah, I went there. I was there, a few weeks ago, or like 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's right.
We did a trip to the dunes. It was great.
He did my so he came and did my shutters in my house.
Oh, okay.
And
big shout out to Troy Interiors.
Yeah, big shout out to Troy
So
Interiors.
they named it.
Yeah, exactly. I never thought about that actually.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that wild?
That was before Steve was born, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, he was like, he wasn't a young guy. And he was up on a ladder, like 2 stories up.
Oh my God!
Putting in the shutters, and I'm like, Chuck, like, dude, are you? And it was no big deal, man. Just still working.
He comes from that. He comes from that farmer ethic, that farmer work ethic. You know, my dad grew up on a farm in Kansas City, Missouri, and you know, you just go out and you work, and that's what your dad did, and that's what his dad did, and his dad did. You know, and all the way back to hunter gatherers.
Yeah.
So, you know.
He was a beast, too.
It's legit.
Wasn't he like a, I mean, he was like a sprinter, right?
Yeah, he had for like a week, he had the world record in the 4x400. So he was a sprinter, 100 meter, and 50 meter.
World record.
Yeah.
Military.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy was a
sniper training, all that stuff. Yeah.
But you would have never known that.
Yeah, because he was incredibly
Because he just was
humble.
like
he's a very
shucks guy.
Yeah, like very nice Midwestern. Yeah, totally. It's so true.
Man, I know.
He's still that way.
I would have to like, well, I love you, but he would put him. I'd be like, all right, well, I gotta go now. Why, because he'd be sitting there. If an hour would go by and like,
yeah, he's telling like dumb dad jokes and stuff. Yeah.
Well, you go and throw Patsy and Chuck together.
Well, that's what all the stories were about.
And then you never could get out of there because our mom, she would talk forever, right? Yeah. And she loved your parents. So, oh my gosh, they were. That was brutal.
Know.
Like, hey, I gotta go.
Yeah, I know. And we, look, everyone that knew your parents, we all miss them tremendously. You know.
Thanks.
It's like one of those things you just think about all the time. And,
it's crazy. Yeah, we had Mike Isles or Mike.
Yeah, I heard. I love the Bubba episode.
Frenchie? Did you know his name's Frenchie?
No, I did not know that part.
None of us did.
No, I was like, what is he talking about? He's Bubba.
Exactly.
Yep.
Frenchie.
But I mean, we have guys in here that worked with him for a long time. And they were talking about it, and I just never knew who the hell they were talking about. And I was like, that is not his name. And
I was like, what? I know.
Frenchie. All right, man.
But it's so cool to hear that, though.
Yeah, no, dude, that was fun, man. Seeing him and talking to him, and he had a really cool story, and he got real deep and real, so to speak, about his whole situation. But so what do you got? So what's going on now? Like, what are you doing?
The thing I'm doing now is a bunch of stuff. Things are slowly opening up in Los Angeles. I think they'll be fully open by 2027.
So you're moving to Phoenix.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I wanted to move out here. Your last guest talked about Flagstaff and like he couldn't wait to get out of Flagstaff. If I could do what I do from Flagstaff, that would be my goal. Yeah. There's by the way, that's an impossibility.
Right.
But I love Flagstaff. I would love to keep doing everything from there. It's impossible. So I just go and visit when I can. There's something connected for me up there. And I love visiting here. But, so I'm doing a lot of photography and live show stuff, but slowly, because things are so locked down. I shoot for Inked magazine. That's been a nice steady thing. I've been doing that for about a year and a half now, and I'm having so much fun.
How does that
with
work?
that.
Do you just go to those people's like houses and take Inked
Sometimes,
magazine's a
yeah.
tattoo?
It's a tattoo magazine.
Tattoo magazine. Okay.
I have no tattoos, so they just hired me to shoot.
Yeah. Right.
I sometimes it's on location. Like I'll
Okay.
just pick a location. They'll just it's very bare bones. They go, hey, Troy, here's this person.
Give them a call.
Set up a shoot.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then that's all they tell me. And I go, do you guys want to give me any other information? And they go, no, just, we trust you. And I go, okay. Nothing though? So they just left it up to, okay, I'll find a location and I'll decide how the shots are going to go and what they're going to look like. I love that. Please leave it up to me because that puts pressure on me. Now there's an opportunity for failure.
Right.
That's what I want. When I finish a shoot, I look at it and I go, oh, I've failed. I find reasons to fail. Sometimes I look at it, I go, oh, I really love that. But I will find the failure because that makes me upset and bummed out, and it gets me to do better. It's that shot to the ego so that I don't rest on, I forget, I think it was Oprah, someone said, what level do you think you're at in life? Like how, as far as where you've been able to get to. And she said something like 4. And the reason she said that is because when you go too high, you start resting.
Yeah.
So I like to always be at a level 4,
Right.
no
Do you
matter
ever
what.
look at your original, like the first couple years of your work?
photos?
Like, do you go back there and
roll my
occasionally-
eyes? Oh,
and
yeah.
roll your eyes and cringe a
Oh,
little
yeah,
bit?
yeah.
Yeah, I do that
100%.
periodically too.
I do that
remember
and I go,
you
oh my God.
called me. I hadn't talked to you for like a year or two, and you called me and you said, I think I need to buy a camera. Can we get together and you teach me how to like take pictures? And you got a Sony, right?
Yeah. Well, I started on
first
Canon. I
camera.
started on Canon on
Okay.
a 6D.
Oh, that's right. You were considering going mirrorless, and that was the conversation I think we
Right.
had.
That was it. And that's when I went to Sony and never
Right.
looked back.
Because I didn't know anything about mirrorless. Oh yeah, that's
Right.
what we just
Yes.
upgraded. You're the second
yeah.
episode.
Those
shooting-
He
6400s.
admired those when he came in here.
Oh boy, those are fantastic cameras. Yeah, I have all the. I have all the Sony. I have the 6500. I don't have the 64. The 65, 63, 6000, 61, and they're great cameras. And these are the best ones out of all those series.
Well, these were definitely the best ones as far as the podcast was concerned.
No, they're
'Cause
unbelievable.
Continuous recording.
Yeah.
you know.
Yes, that's why they're the best ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, we looked at. We've been using a Canon, like
We were using
you know,
those video cameras.
the
there.
Vixias that were like $350.
Yes, I have those too. Yeah.
And we were so the content is what matters, and most people
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah.
But I would cringe, I was like, I'm
Yeah.
embarrassed to put this
Production
out.
value is a big thing.
And most, nobody cared.
Right.
But Ryan, Trey, and I did, and he's like, okay, how do we fix this? Because then
Well-
it's like 10 times the amount of money.
Yeah.
But Ryan's
Right.
like, we got to do this right.
It is worth it. It is worth it.
Agreed.
Well, and then we also made, it made his life miserable because he had to now edit off of those things.
Right.
And he's just like, dude, this is like, and he's trying to work another job and he's in like LA or he's traveling around doing stuff. And I felt bad about it, but I was like, we need these turned around. So he sent me a screenshot of the last guest with these cameras, and I was like, oh, it was dramatically different.
There's a rule in improv, and it applies in business, it applies in production, it applies in everything, and it says always make your partner look good. That's your number one goal. And like when people watch improv, the number one job is to be funny. No, so make your partner look good. You get good cameras and good production value. It makes the people you're working with look good. You work in real estate, you work in loans. Give other people credit for something when usually you're due the credit. Make people look good. That's, you want to succeed. You make everyone around you look good.
Yeah.
And I've always, it takes a while to get used to that because you feel like a little left out, like, oh, I want to take credit. I'm happy to let other people.
Yeah. And in my position in this company, so to speak, or even on my team, I don't do the loans, right? I bring in the deals, and I have my team that does them, and they're the best in the business at doing them. And yeah, sometimes you know, it's like we joke around like, well, I don't even know how to do alone, right? And it's a joke, it's a joke, it's a joke.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I really don't like to the you know, to the deep depths of it all. I don't anymore know how to get down into it all, but my job is to, you know, make sure that we have people around that know how to do everything really, really, really well. And I look over from up here and make sure that this. But telling them all, or telling everybody that I meet that's what I tell everybody is like, dude, I have the best people, or we have the best people that are doing the work for our clients. And so my job was to make sure that I hired the right people and we have the, you know, the right staff, including, you know, Trisha and Trey and my business partner Stuart. So
you're a blend of Alec Baldwin and Kevin Spacey and Glengarry Glen Ross.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I am actually, except if I'm not a dick. Alec Baldwin's terrible. No, actually, no, I'm not. But no, you're right, and I think that's super important. And I always want to make sure that everybody knows the girls are phenomenal at what they do. And,
nice.
And it's pretty quick. People realize that very quickly when they do a deal with us, and they're like, "Geez," like they don't even call me anymore. They go straight past me to our, you know, Bree or Christy. Or Jamie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, literally. Like I don't even know sometimes that something's happening, and I get a friend will call me like, "Hey, dude, you know, we just got done with our loan," and I was like, "Can you guys let me know when one of my friends is doing a loan?"
Right.
So when he calls me to say thanks, I know that we did it. But you know, again,
nice.
Yeah, I'm with you on all that. It's I think it's super important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So the photography thing, I just want to get. Trey and I are like nerds about this comedy store thing.
You guys like that world of the Comedy Store. That's
we
so cool.
love it. Well,
Yeah.
he knows like all the like he likes to. I mean, even though we're 20 freaking or 30 years different in age, like it's like we have the same taste in almost everything.
Yeah.
Because I haven't grown up.
Right.
And he's maybe matured a little bit more in some of that stuff. So like the same sort of same
so
comics.
cool.
We like the same
Wow.
podcasts, same music.
So cool.
You know.
Wow.
I still like to ride skateboards. You know, it's just like it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's who I am. But no, it's cool. Like we were talking about. So Theo Vaughn to me is super funny.
Oh my God, Theo.
So, right, Trey? I mean, so he's like one of our favorites. I mean, that dude is. It's because it's not. I don't even know if everybody even understands it, but like I hear other comics be like, dude, like I met her Joe Rogan and Brendan Schaub talking about it one day. They're like, dude, I mean, like this guy, he's just different.
He is so beautifully unfiltered, and he reminds his brain. It's almost like, you know, our brains are sort of a prism. Mm-hmm. You got to think about how much of our. I bet our brains are 90% water, right? And that's what, you know, when light goes through glass, creates that prism. When light goes through the water in our brain, there's also that prism. Every comic has those colors that are shooting out. And Theo Vaughn's colors are so vivid and unique, and you just go, wow, that is an incredible brain.
Yeah.
Like
he's quick.
The colors he's projecting are insane. I don't mean that in a weird like Sedona way. I just mean like scientifically.
Yeah.
We have prisms in our brain.
Yeah.
Wait, not scientifically, but you know what I mean, metaphorically. Yeah. So he is, I mean, and I can't even tell any Theo Vaughn stories because they're probably not appropriate enough for this show. But
well, one of his best ones is when he eats mushrooms and he goes on stage. Yeah. Have you seen that clip?
No, I haven't seen that one.
No, he just goes out there and he's just like, wait, what was I saying? Like, where am I?
He's unbelievable.
He goes, how about Santa Monica? I mean, dude, this is a great one you've got to watch. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It is not appropriate, but man.
Yeah. No, that's the great thing about the sort of the culture at the Comedy Store is that it's the last bastion of not appropriate for everyone. And so many people now want the world to conform to them.
Yeah.
I say this as a person who was very much like that. Like I always wanted the world to conform to how I thought of it. And now I think that's the worst idea ever. But no one cares about that stuff. People just do what they do in so much of in the Comedy Store and in a lot of places. And it's not based on you must conform and not say this or that or whatever. People are just unfiltered and say what they say, and I think that's why people connect, because we're human beings, and we're all learning as we go. There's no reason to control language and steer everyone's behavior in the way you personally think is correct.
And that's like the place to go and do everything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what did you think of the Comedy Store documentary?
So I did all the photos for that.
Right.
But
we noticed.
When I watched it, I was like, wow. Because when they sent me the clips of like, hey, here, we just finished episode 1. And when I watched it, I was like, I had no idea it was going to be this amazing. Like it was visually beautiful. And they took the history of it. And then
visually beautiful though. It was
visually amazing. They put a
really
lot of work into it. So big shout to Mike Binder, the guy who directed that, because he really made it happen in such an amazing way. Like,
that was
that
awesome.
dude.
So who runs it now? Is it Pauly Shore that runs it?
No, it's who overall runs, where the end of the line is Peter Shore, Pauly's brother. Really good dude.
Okay.
Really good dude. And then, there's a whole mashup of management, and some people are going to Austin and all that. And so, but good people everywhere.
So that whole thing so you got people that are working at the store that are going like, I'm going to go to Austin with Joe Rogan and everybody else to go like to open up another comedy store, or just to go there and work, because that's where people are moving to.
I'm not sure. I mean, I think it's just like a lot of people going there to do
away from
a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, it's not the best governed state in the United States. Yeah. And I hate to break that news. This is breaking news. Not the best governed.
Yeah.
Just last week they they just caught the murderer that they accidentally let out. It's like, we filed the paperwork under G or something instead of murder. So they let like a convict.
Funny, but funny.
They just let him out.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, he's made some mistakes, that's for sure. Or, I mean, whatever. It's not just him necessarily, but man, there's been some problems there, and you pay a lot of money to live in a place that's dirty and right,
a
lot of homeless.
It's really crazy. The weather there is so good. I think people are like, as long as the homeless people aren't living in front of my place,
right?
But that's literally the attitude,
right?
There.
But now people are saying they are, right? People are like, dude, I'm coming outside and I got a guy in my front, outside my gate.
I will say this from my experience tends to be true. No one really truly cares about the homeless situation until they start getting really close to their neighborhood. Yeah. And then they're like, this is what? How? They never said anything until they were
until it affects them personally.
Like someone like with an extension cord into their apartment with a toaster in a tent.
Yeah.
That's where I draw the line.
Yeah.
Our last guest put together a nonprofit that addresses homelessness here in Phoenix. So it's kind of odd, the timeliness of that, because we're about to drop that.
Oh, nice.
So, we've got more of a problem than I knew of.
We didn't even know that there's a whole tent
like
10,000 downtown that I didn't know about either.
Oh my gosh.
I used to see it, but back when I worked downtown, it wasn't that big. And I don't go down to the Capitol very often. He said at any given time, there's approximately 10,000 people in the Phoenix area that are, or I guess maybe in Arizona.
No, that are that there are 10,000 people that have applied to get housing.
Right.
But there's the homeless deal is
bigger.
It's like, because I said 10,000 and he was like, no, he's like way more than that.
Because we have some people who really aren't looking for assistance because they're okay being on the streets, or they don't realize what their options are.
Yeah.
Those are the sad cases,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a sad thing for sure.
So, from a podcast standpoint, obviously you've done a lot. What are your favorite ones you like to listen to?
That I listen to? I listen to Rogan's podcast a lot. Yeah. I love Bad Friends. I love Santino and Bobby Lee together.
So that's another great one. Andrew Santino,
their
he's
banter
really
is how my brain is. So like when they go, okay, you're a guy doing this. Okay, if that was just a podcast that just did that, where it's like, all right, Ryan, you're this guy, and then I'm going to play this guy. That's all I want to do in life is either do that or hear someone doing that. So I love that podcast. And then I listen to, I like Dumpster Fire, Bridget Fetisi. I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts. So it varies, but I'm trying to think, what's my favorite funny, like as far as comedy podcasts go? I mean, I love
Tiger Belly?
Your Mom's House, and I love Tiger Belly. I love
Your Mom's House is Segura's?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. I guess I'd have to go through my
Andrew Santino and Bobby Lee, they do a really good job of seeming like they don't like each other at times.
Well, they're very real, and so so the times they don't get along,
but Bobby Lee seems like a very difficult guy too. The funniest, great, like dude's so funny.
Yeah,
but like definitely could be somebody that you would that you'd argue with.
Totally. Yeah, he's a good dude though. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many good people. There's a Comedy Store podcast, and I mean, I think it deserves a lot more listeners because one of the people that is, the main people on is Eleanor Kerrigan, and she should be a famous comic. She's not famous yet. She is unbelievable. She used to be, I want to say she was married to Andrew Dice Clay. And she tours with him still. Like, they're still like best friends. That she is one of the funniest human beings ever.
What's her name?
Eleanor Kerrigan. So if you find the Comedy Store podcast, listen to Eleanor. She's unbelievable. She's from Philly. And I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I listen to a ton of podcasts, and
so you like the comedy ones, and obviously you get into the other topics besides just comedy.
How many have you appeared on? Because I found you on a couple.
I have no idea. I don't know. I just do them when when I can. Yeah, and when asked. I don't know. I mean, because I produced a lot of podcasts, and I helped start one called the David Feldman Show, and now he's out of New York, but we got that as a radio show in Los Angeles, and then he moved and started as a podcast, and it became even more popular. Podcasts beat radio now.
Yeah.
We'd love to pick your brain since you were on the production side. I didn't realize that.
That was my jam. I always loved that.
Okay,
producing
we could get some tips.
Throwing out set what's important. What's important is like having stuff that's like segments. So when you're producing it, think of yourself also as like a segment producer. Like, hey, I think we need to do like a rapid fire Q&A or whatever. Like, not necessarily a game, but
we do that at
a game.
We wrap all of our episodes with rapid fire.
Yeah. So like that's the kind of thing I'm talking about,
So why don't you do one? I mean, why don't you have your own? That seems like
I'm close to doing it. I'm close to doing it, but I was scheduled to start a podcast with my friend Fielding Edlow. We were going to do it. She's brilliant comic. I produced her. I directed her comedy special, Fielding Edlow, and we were scheduled to do our first podcast on it was like March 17th or something, like right when the lockdown happened.
Oh yeah.
So so maybe that'll start back up or start up, but
Well, how about this? Every time you come into town, you can just be my co-host.
There you go.
Or together we can just
We'd love
do
to
it.
have a regular. You can be like,
hey, that'd be fun.
In
that'd be a
rotation.
blast.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm
I would totally do it.
Because let's see, it took us 3 months to get you on because you don't live here and we weren't recording every week and so now that we've got you here, love to.
I would love that. Look, it's so fun hanging with you guys and seeing you. I mean, this is it's like such a good connected feeling to, feels like home so much, and hanging with you guys. It's
totally
great. Same.
I would love to get your brother here too.
Yeah, I'm about to say if Steve had been able to come, it would have been like a family reunion.
Yeah, we'll get him to come one of these times.
Yeah.
So listeners and viewers, Troy's brother was Ryan's roommate in college.
Yep.
So.
For
in
freshman year, same. Yep. So I have a connection to Flagstaff too, not just college, but that's to me, it's like.
Yeah.
My son said it's the best. My son's a freshman at NAU now.
Oh my gosh.
I know, it's weird. But he's just like he says that like his mental health, like he just feels better
Exactly.
up there. Like he comes down here, he likes to dip in, and then he goes back, and he just goes, oh, like I just feel better. Like I go down into Sedona, I just feel better.
You just breathe, and you just look around you, and there's nature, and you're connected, and and it's still a city, but it's more about like nature, and there's just dude, I just love it up there. Place. Yeah,
and I go up as much as I can. Like I still go up during the winter. I go up to snowboard.
Nice.
Just a lot, as I have the flexibility to do so. I get season pass every year, and I go up, and I still have buddies that I went to college with that still live there. Wow. So I just come in, and I'm like, I'm on my way, and they're like, cool, man. You know,
everything's still there, like from back in the day.
Oh yeah, Bun Huggers, and
all those places. I think Crystal Creek is still there.
Crystal Creek's still there. Yeah,
we always hit that on the way back.
Best
to Phoenix.
sandwiches.
They always, because they always overdo the avocado, which no one's told them that's a bad business idea.
Are you still a vegetarian?
No.
Oh, you eat.
I'm actually a strong proponent of eating as many double cheeseburgers as humanly possible.
So funny, because I mean that was
What's your favorite burger joint?
Again, I was one of those people who I was one of those annoying vegetarians. Like you should be too. Yeah. Now I can't stand those people who are like you should be too. Don't ever say you should be too to me. Yeah. So I forget how long ago I started eating chicken, and then I still went into meat, and I eat really healthy. And part of that is double cheeseburgers. You know, like if you just cut out sugar
without the bread.
I tear away the bread, so it looks like there's bread, and then I'm tearing it off. Yeah. And so at the end, like there's just a bag with a lot of bread in it, but it feels like I just ate the whole bun.
Yeah, there you go.
Psychological trick.
Yeah.
But I eat really well, and especially during this lockdown, I have learned to cook amazing stuff. So I'm eating better than ever. Like I'm set now. But I cut out 99% of sugar. I cut out sugar. And I cut out most bread and, starches. Yeah. And I just feel good from it.
Yeah. So we were talking the other day about this. I try to do that as well, but I definitely, when I want to just like cut it out real quick, and as soon as I cut out sugar and I cut out like complex carbs, my body transforms like so fast.
Totally.
And you feel better, you have more energy. But you get into the whole more fats and
totally
and
coconuts.
It's
what? The key is not to cut out sugar, it's to replace sugar with fruit and then just feast on sugary fruits all day, because that's the kind that your body processes really well. It's the sugar that's awful.
It's the red vines that I'm addicted to.
Oh my God! I just watched a documentary. It shows how they make red vines. You won't eat red vines again.
Really?
Dude? Oh, it's so disgusting. It's so gross, dude. When you see like the barrel of sugar,
gelatinous, just
like
sickness.
Imagine like a barrel the size of this building that just pours into a vat with a little bit of red food coloring, and they just swirl that crap around. And you just go, oh my
don't watch it, Ryan.
God.
Well, guess what?
But I love.
They also have those documentaries about beef too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And chicken.
You know what? Yes, that's true. But you know what? When you watch Super Size Me, there is an interesting thing they didn't really address. What kills people is the soda and the fries. That's the killer. The burger. Remember, there was that one dude who just ate hamburgers and nothing else.
For like a year,
and he was
right?
For his entire life.
Oh.
He ate like
I don't remember.
a Big Mac for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner or something. Remember, it showed him like he'd walk like 2 miles every day to the McDonald's. That was the only guy that was in shape in the whole movie.
From the walking, probably, right?
Definitely from the walking, and it's those two, perfect combo. The walking and just hamburgers, just the meat, and obviously the bread is not good for you.
Right.
But he didn't do a Coke and he didn't do fries.
Dude, it's the soda. At the end of the day,
it's the soda. Number one worst thing.
Soda, your life will change.
Doug Stanhope, one of my all-time favorite comics, another good podcast.
What was his name?
Doug Stanhope. He now lives in Bisbee.
No way.
And he is he used to host the Man Show with Joe Rogan way back in the day.
He is. Yeah.
He's one of the funniest. That's not his claim to fame, but like I mentioned it. But he is one of my favorite. He's always been like my inspiration for stand-up. He has a bit about if you put a bowl of water and a bowl of soda next to each other and let a thirsty dog in, the dog will never drink the soda. He goes, they will eat their own poop, but they will not drink soda. That should tell you how good it is for you.
Right.
Well, I always said, if they tell you not to consume it when you're pregnant, you probably shouldn't.
If it unclogs,
it when you're not pregnant,
it's better than Drano for unclogging toilets and drains. If you put 2 liters, you don't need Drano.
And cleaning pennies. Do you remember? I don't know. It was
when
I was a kid, they would take a bunch of coins and put them in the street and pour Coke on them, and they looked like they were newly minted.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Are we losing viewers and listeners as we go?
Are we losing people over this? I feel like this is the most exciting part. I want to tell us more. Let's talk about the Mentos now.
Okay,
exactly.
So,
I was literally going to go there.
There's one thing I don't think we dove into enough, but how did you go from acting and the
acting and performance
over to the photography? Like, what led you there, and how do you think you've been so successful with that? Because that's, as a photographer myself, it blows my mind how quickly you rose, and how basically you're famous in the photographer world.
Well, I have a small niche.
The photo that I shared like 3 days ago, it's Bill Burr, David Spade, and I don't know, like, how many people get to take pictures like that? It's just, yes, you're very, very niched down, but they're so good. It's not just that you get to photograph cool people; they're beautiful photos.
So, yeah, thank you. I've always loved making people look like they're supposed to look. I tell people always, like, the photos of you should reflect who you want to be 1 year from now, not who you are today, because that's very short-sighted. If you want a photo of how you are now, your photo should look like you. And I want to make people look like rock stars, especially when they're in my mind rock stars, right? So there's a great line in the Tao Te Ching, and it says, "Do your work and then step back." I've always loved that line. That's been very meaningful for me. You just do the work and don't worry about how you look and blah, 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 and getting famous and all that stuff. I've always thought that stuff was short-sighted. For me, it's all about just do good work. So when I started taking pictures, I just wanted to make people look good. And again, I have that principle of always seeing what I do as a failure. I wake up in the morning and I say, "You beautiful failure. Let's get started. Do better than you did yesterday."
Yeah.
So was it just your comic connections? Were you going into the Comedy Store and just taking pictures, for free? It's like, "Hey, let me get this," and then giving it to them, and then they were like, "Holy cow, thank you."
My partner, Paul Provenza, invited me to see this show called Roast Battle at the Comedy Store. Up until that point, I only knew of the old Comedy Store when it had bad management, and it was like a kind of like a ghost town. It was a terrible. People were not nice there. It was very cliquey, and people were like, it was just you didn't.
Yeah, they talk about that in the documentary.
They talk about that.
Yeah,
it was not a fun place to be, so I avoided it. But Doug Stanhope and Joe Rogan together, really, I credit them both, maybe equally, maybe even Stanhope a little more. Stanhope started doing his big shows there in a main room that was locked up. They had it locked in a chain on it. It was just empty. Mm-hmm. They couldn't ever get any people enough to fill it. And that opened people up. And Rogan also, it opened people up. And he was there consistently. So they built that place and gave it that spark, right? But so when Roast Battle started, I started going to the store, and I saw that show, and I went, "Oh my God, people need to take that." First of all, that show is unlike anything in the history of not just comedy, of live performance, you didn't just have people roasting each other. You had this panel of judges who were hilarious with their critiques. Then you had the wave that acts out all the, it's hard to explain, you have to watch it, but they basically do these like 5 or 10 second act outs. They run on stage and do something insane when someone has a good line.
Yeah.
And then you have a haters table. It's like 1 or 2 people who are like professional haters. They're a character. And they're just line after line, boom, boom, boom. So you have this orchestra. It's really an orchestra, but there's so much action in it.
Yeah.
And the way that I got good is taking pictures of action in low light, which is not really possible. And again, had a good opportunity for lots of failure. And so basically all the pictures I took were like failure. It was like, man, I'm using the wrong lens. I'm not taking enough chances on the shutter speed, or maybe I'm going too slow so that's what got me really passionate. Roast battle. And then you're not allowed to take pictures at the store. I didn't know that. You're still not allowed to take photos at the store. But at that time, I didn't know that, so I just did it. And then luckily people were like, no, this is really a good thing. Before they could say, get the hell out of here. Mm-hmm. They were like, no, this is actually valuable. We want to keep you on. Then right before the pandemic hit, they hired me as the first ever photographer to get hired as on the payroll of the Comedy Store.
Wow.
Which is really a cool honor.
Yeah,
so are you the only one?
Yeah, but I brought on a team. I brought on some other people.
Okay.
Like, hey guys, I'm not going to be here 30 days a month. So the nights I'm not here, I brought in some really good people, Liz Vig and Matt Masisko. Yeah, I mean, I want to see comedy photography grow, and I want to see photographers grow. I think there's room for more.
Well, Trey and I will gladly volunteer.
Outstanding.
If you ever need us. If you ever need us. He's not too far.
Nice. Oh, that's right, Trey.
Yeah,
nice.
He's very good with like action stuff. We've shot
very
shows
cool.
and bands.
And if you're doing video, that's great. People should be doing video. It's a big part of the future. For me, I love stills, and I'm going to stick around with that for the most part. But I've been getting into drone photography, which I love. I don't know. Are you doing that, Trey?
Not really. I've done a little bit of drone stuff.
Okay. Video. Yeah, it's mind blowing some of the stuff you can do with drones.
Yeah, I know, it's super cool. I mean, as nerdy as this is going to sound, even within like the real estate world.
Yeah, it's huge.
Oh, right.
Real estate.
Giant,
right.
And it does make a huge difference. And I have a friend actually right now that he's in Colombia, and he follows MMA fighters, and they go to this place like I think it's called Bio Excellence or something like that, and it's kind of like they go there to get this procedure done. That's technically, I guess it's not FDA approved in America yet, but it's basically like your stem cell stuff, and so he goes there, and man, everywhere he stays, like he gets paid to do drone like work for the hotels and all these like amazing things in Colombia, and like the colors and all that stuff. But he had built like a business before that where he would just call hotels and be like, hey, I feel like going to Puerto Rico this weekend. Hey, I'm coming. Can I stay there for free? I'll do some video, do some drone work for you. And I mean, dude, it's
Smart
really cool.
Smart. That's how you hustle. That's how you make business happen for yourself.
Yeah.
You don't wait for stuff to come to you.
Shout out to Joey Grant.
Yeah, shout out to Joey. Make it happen for yourself. You know, don't rely on someone to walk up and hand you a plane ticket, because it's never going to happen. When you hear stories about that happening, ignore them. It's always up to you. You know.
Yep, for sure. All right, so you guys, why don't we go to the rapid fire questions, Trish?
Oh man, I did not call them. I was so into what's going on, but I have some of them.
But we have them
memory.
Yeah.
I think we asked this of Mike as well.
Frenchie.
High school. Love it or hate it?
Loved it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What was your favorite part? I mean, like you're literally the fourth
the
Cactus
friends.
Cobra we've had, which is so bizarre because our school wasn't that big.
Yeah.
But you're the fourth, right?
Oh.
Fourth one? Because Stephanie, we didn't even know her back then.
Yeah, we interviewed a person who used to work here, and she's married to one of the loan officers here, but she wrote a book, and she graduated in like, what, in 2000?
20 years
something,
after
or
us.
something, you know? But
Yeah.
yeah, from Cactus High School too. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my favorite part is the people. There was a real sense of fun and community, and there's not. I mean, that's how I think of high school. I don't think of it like a lot of people like can get real bitter about their high school experience, and because that was their experience. But I just have good memories of like, oh my God, we had so much fun. And got to be really silly, and that's an important principle. And yeah,
We basically lived. It was kind of like living in a small town.
yeah, it
And-
was.
and-
Especially where you guys lived and where we lived,
Oh my
right? I mean,
gosh,
you were
right.
way remote.
So it was
Yeah.
a little fairy tale-ish, a little Mayberry.
Yeah, it was. It's a little Mayberry.
Yeah, and
It was
so-
diverse. It was a diverse Mayberry, is what we
Yeah,
had.
and
you know?
And people still was like took pride in their school and took, it was
Yeah.
still very fun to go to a Friday night football game, and we all grew up going to games, and
Yeah, I can't imagine how it
student
is
council
these
was
days.
cool.
Going like,
and
yeah.
I don't even know if it even. I mean, my kids, I think they probably went to 3 football games the whole time they were in high school.
See, my kids, or take Trey out of this,
But you lived in a Mayberry,
right? The
town too, though.
girls were both. My girls are student council, and the film program, and they went to every football game. So, I realized that we're kind of an anomaly out in Verrado, but yeah, I feel bad for them,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, we did kind of have that like really cool
Yeah.
the quintessential high school experience.
Yeah.
You know what I remember? And correct me if I'm wrong. I remember the day I met you because you transferred, right? Didn't
I
you
did.
come
My
in as
first
a
2 years, I
sophomore?
was at Moon Valley, which
Okay.
I didn't really enjoy as much,
Right.
to
And
say
I
the
think
least.
Chris Anderson introduced
Chris
us.
and I were
was
best friends. Yeah.
Standing in front of the gym, getting ready to go to cheer practice, and Chris came
Okay.
over with you and introduced me. And
Yeah.
you were like messing with me because you said something like, "Oh, I'm 25. I'm just here to like mentor Chris."
That sounds
And
about right.
I think you had been selling Bibles or something over the summer. Like,
Oh, my.
I don't know if that was real. Did you go door to door and
Well,
sell
but
something?
that wasn't but that wasn't high school.
Oh, was that college?
That was after. That was mid college.
Mid college.
Yeah, that was when I was 21.
getting my
Yeah, but
school
in high
experiences
school,
mixed
yeah.
up.
So I used to ditch my high school at Moon Valley and go to classes at Cactus.
Yeah.
You could never do that now. I would go in, I would sit on Mrs. Lee's class. I would sit in on other teachers, and I like
Mrs.
literally
Wheatley.
like yeah, Mrs. Wheatley. And so Chris brought me to his classes. I mean, that's the only AP stuff I ever got into. He would bring me into his classes, and he'd be like, "Yeah, this is my friend Troy. He's just here as an observer, as a guest." And they were like, "Okay." Nowadays, it'd be like 7 cop cars outside. It would be on the news. I just went to that school because I liked it more, and we hung out, and it was like, wow, this is cool. There's something special about this.
How did you know Chris?
Chris and I went to junior high together, so we've
Okay.
been friends since we were 12.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a bike racer, we went to school together.
Do you still talk to him?
Yeah, we talk all the time.
Oh, tell him I said hi.
I will. Yeah, Chris is
love him.
great.
Yeah, he's a great
He's
guy.
really happy. Totally. It's great community in high school.
Okay. Do you have one? You look like you're about to ask a question.
No, I was going to ask
okay.
you if you have. Oh, okay, I'll ask one.
Yeah, I have another
Favorite
one.
movie?
Pleasantville.
Wow.
Pleasantville, because it's the most meaningful. You could watch it 100 times and get something new from it every time. It's one of the most profound reflections of our society. People think it's just a silly movie. Oh, is that the one where black and white turns into color? So much more. It's mythology and it's beauty.
And it's so relevant now. I mean, how
More relevant now.
it was like 15 years. When did that movie come out?
20 years.
It's it came out in I want to say 1993.
Oh wow. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy that like now that seems, I don't know, just
Yeah.
a little less
Right.
abstract.
Right. But that movie's stood the test of time.
Okay, so I think I think I might have asked this of the last guest, but I still think it's good. Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter?
I only use out of those. I only use Instagram. I occasionally go on Twitter, and I don't use Facebook. So
That's right. We talked about it once a year.
I check Facebook like once, maybe twice a year. I've found it to be a mostly volatile place, so I don't enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
So Instagram's great. It's photos. Cool.
Yep.
That's what I do.
Your whole Instagram
I enjoy
is your photography.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a
Which is cool.
like beautifully curated, consistent looking
And-
grid. It's, yeah.
Oh,
love
thank.
Your,
Well,
love your Instagram.
I
You're
think
great at Instagram, Troy.
I'm great at Instagram. Well, I'm I definitely am more depressed from this whole lockdown and pandemic that and it's been hard to even post. Like it's like, oh my God, I can't wait for this stuff to be over and I can get back to normal like posting and all that because it's so important. But I really love being behind the scenes and making things. To me, that's more meaningful than being in front of things like I used to, because I don't know what happened, but at some point I just stopped caring about how much attention I had and started focusing on the work, And I guess I'm kind of glad about that because I really like when someone calls me. Sometimes people call me like, "Hey, can you do this thing?" And I go, "I can't do it, but I can get you someone that'll rock it." So my brain works like a producer.
Yeah.
I think
that's good.
part of that's our age too, don't you think?
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of it. There's a
Yeah.
maturity. Thank God.
Because you were such like the
Thank
class
God.
clown. Not
Right.
that you were attention
Class
seeking,
clown,
but you were
100%.
definitely
I was
people,
in high school. I was not the class clown. I was the head writer for the class clown.
true.
I was the guy that
That's-
wrote stuff on the
that's true.
notes.
So
and
who was your
pa-
class clown?
Well, I remember that Phil
Andrews?
Andrews was like officially the class clown.
Okay.
There were
Mike Bauman
tons.
was ours.
Mike Bauman, yes.
Yeah.
I liked writing notes for those. Hey, say this, and then they would say it and get in trouble.
Yeah, right. You have any more, Trish?
What's your guilty pleasure?
Third Eye Blind. Police chases. I have a lot. Third Eye Blind. I love police chases.
On YouTube or what do you?
Yeah, on YouTube.
Okay.
Absolutely. And then wait, I know there's another great one because I was just watching it. It's an Amazon. Oh shoot. I like those ones where they go out. Oh, those survival shows where they go out and they build
Naked
like.
and Afraid and stuff.
Well,
like that.
yeah, that's extreme. I like that, but just the ones where they like drop them in a forest in Vancouver. What
Alone.
is it?
That's one.
I think that's what it's
Like
called.
alone in a yeah, alone.
That's the one where there's like
Mountain Man,
10 of
right?
them and they compete. That's the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, that one's good.
That's Canadian, right? Isn't that a
They
Canadian
shoot it in
show?
Vancouver
Okay.
on these little islands and they
Yeah,
drop them and they
that's-
have
Yeah, that is good.
and they just have some of them go crazy
Yeah.
because that's just them
That they eat
and their
bugs
thoughts.
and leaves and
Yeah,
Oh, they lose their mind.
slugs.
Yeah.
And they can kind of lose their mind and it's so fun. Again, this is why I love it, is because they get confronted with their own sense of giving up and of quitting. You're confronted with your quit. And that's fascinating to me. So but I would say, main guilty pleasures are Third Eye Blind and police chases.
That's great.
And-
That's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's like 30 others I could ask, but
Yeah,
I think that
we're
this
good.
has gone long enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, thanks again, dude, for doing
Thanks for
this,
having me. This
man.
was fun,
And
you know?
Yeah, and we would love to do it again and again, as many times as you.
That'd be cool.
I think it'd be fun to have you sit with me to interview somebody.
Yeah.
And I've kind of
I would
wanted
like
that. Anyways, try that little model out. But yeah, no, dude. Again, Troy Conrad, writer, director, producer, actor, photographer. Third
Yeah,
Eye
really, I'm
Blind
just these
fan
days.
club.
Really, I'm only a photographer and a show creator at this point.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much all my
Yeah.
time and energy and love. But thanks for having me on, you guys. This was a blast.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Trish, Trey. Hopefully you're.
Big shout out to
not
Trey.
gonna-
What's Trey's Instagram? Trey, what's your Instagram?
I don't think you even have your Instagram.
Oh, no,
like,
don't tell me.
active
Trey's
right
an
now.
old soul too. He doesn't.
Yeah,
really
he's
too
not.
Much,
He's never been the like teen. He was never like the teenage
Oh,
social
okay.
media
Yeah.
monker.
He's
See?
on there.
And I get that because I have that. But we also have to like overcome that to be in this industry. And that's the hard part.
Totally.
Yep.
Like it's
Yep.
the really, sometimes it's the, like just with comedy, it's the really terrible comics who are the best at
Marketing.
promoting and like getting, like when I was starting in Phoenix, it was like the worst two comics were getting all the gigs because they made phone calls all day. Like,
Yeah.
And they would bug people until they wore them down.
Right.
It's like, wow, how come none of the good guys do that?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we have to go
see it
overcome.
even with Ryan. He's not like huge fan of sitting on social media all day, but it's a necessary evil.
It is a necessary.
Because some of the top producers in the state are phenomenal at it. So you
Yeah.
can't
Yep.
just like tap out and say, "Oh,
That's
we
who you're
don't want to
competing
do
against.
it."
Yep.
You have to, even
Yeah.
if you don't love it. You
Right.
just got to show up.
So this is Real Talk with Ryan Madrid, right?
That's
yes.
right.
No
Okay.
the. No the.
I didn't. I said.
I know. I'm
I
confirming.
usually say the Real Talk. It's Real Talk with Ryan Madrid. And Trisha, what's our other stuff?
What's our other what?
Facebook, YouTube.
Yeah, we're primarily an Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay. People can connect with
show.
it through Instagram.
Yep.
Yeah. If anybody needs to reach out to us,
Yeah.
that's the way to do it.
Okay.
Is just a DM.
I mean, Troy has 17,500 followers, so hopefully somebody will. We need more followers. We need more
there you
people, and so we're going to use Troy.
You can take some of my.
Yeah, we need you to do a little
Please
spot
help-
after this.
help
We're actually, I'm not even joking.
Okay.
We're gonna keep you for an extra
Okay.
10 minutes and have you do
Yeah.
like a little promo
Okay.
because you are the biggest deal.
Oh, jeez.
That we've no seriously.
Out of what we've had.
Out of what we've had, right? I mean, we've had what, 14 guests.
Guys, that's
They're
very
locals.
sad.
I know. I know.
Very sad.
But hey, there's
Next time, bring
failures.
Steve.
Listen,
That's
we're
right.
We're failing.
That's
and we're just trying to.
That's right. I
We're
want to
doing
go
better
down.
than we thought we would.
No,
so
yeah.
Oh my
know.
gosh, no! This is it's amazing. And look, you got to. It's about the consistency
Yep.
and having that
Yep.
consistent podcast drop.
Yep.
And,
that's-
and
we're
we're
trying,
working
trying
on
to
that.
do more.
Yeah,
Trying to do more. Trying to go to 2 a week instead of 1 a week.
yeah.
Good. So that's the goal.
Good.
But we need everybody to be able to be available to do so.
We need subscribers.
Yep. Like,
We need
subscribe,
followers.
please follow
Give
us.
give it a 5-star rating. Give
Right.
it,
Yeah.
like and subscribe.
All that stuff.
Yeah,
so.
YouTube. We really need to up our numbers there because now that we've got the cameras, a lot of our time and energy goes to the video production. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a shame if people aren't watching.
Yeah.
It.
Right.
So
Sorry. All right.
go.
Well, let's wrap it up. And again, thanks to everybody. Thanks to VIP Mortgage for
Big
allowing
shout,
us.
VIP Mortgage.
There you go. Thanks for letting us do this in this office. We appreciate it. And again, please like and subscribe. Go to our Instagram. Go to our Facebook. And we will talk to you all again soon. Thank you.
bye-bye.
Bye. Real Talk is brought to you by Escrow, the letter S, Grow. Disorganization and constant communication are huge problems in the real estate journey. And it's an issue that I think most real estate agents, well, at least some real estate agents, struggle with in their CRM systems. There's a lot of options out there, and a lot of people have different ones. And when I'm speaking with the agents that we work with, or that are our referral partners, the big hurdle is the actual creation of the templates and actually creating the automation that goes out for milestones. So Escrow kind of takes all that away. So everything's pre-written for you. You have multiple choices to go from, to choose from. I'm sorry. So if you're looking for a CRM system that is super easy to use and will eliminate a lot of the confusion and the heavy lifting up front, go to escrow.com. The letter S, grow.com.